Is the rapture going to happen today? So today is September 23rd, and there's been a lot of speculation that today the rapture is going to happen. And the short answer is, do I think it's going to happen? I don't know. But if I had to guess, I'd probably say no. So this has kind of happened before. I think about like a year ago or something. People were saying in April the rapture was going to happen and to get ready, and then nothing happened. And I think something that we should take away from this is we should be careful with this because I think it's kind of sensational, right? We come out every time there's some conspiracy theory online, and all the Christians come together and say, "Okay, the rapture is going to happen," and then nothing happens. And the Bible tells us we are not going to know the day and nor the hour. And so I think people who are really trying to jump on this are, kind of being sensational. They're kind of just trying to get attention online, and I think it's kind of bad, right? Because I think it hurts the whole movement, right? Because you tell your family, tell your friends, okay, the rapture is going to happen, and then nothing happens, and they start to question if other aspects of the Bible are true either. So I think we really, as Christians, got to be very careful with this. And I'm not trying to slander people or whatever who believe in this or make videos about the rapture. I'm not trying to say that, but we do have to be careful. We have to exercise discretion and also discernment. Right? We shouldn't be going around and telling everyone, okay, the rapture's going to happen on this date because the Bible tells us that we don't know the exact date nor the hour. I think we can know certain aspects of the end times. Right? The Bible uses small metrics of time. Right? Jesus says day and hour; those are relatively small metrics. He doesn't tell us we're not going to know the year, not the decade, not the century. And so I think we should pay attention to the signs of the times, right? We should pay attention to the spirit of the age. And yeah, I think those things point to, yeah, okay, maybe we're closer than most people are comfortable acknowledging. But I don't think that gives us the right to say, okay, it's this day or that day. So in terms of when do I think the rapture is going to happen, or the return of Christ, I don't know, right? I think anyone that's telling you otherwise, maybe isn't being so honest, right? And I think we should be acknowledging that. I think we should be aware of that. And when's the end time's going to happen? I don't know. I think paying attention to the spirit of the age. I think there's a lot going on in recent days and stuff. A lot of people who aren't even real believers, right? They haven't gone to church in years. They don't believe in anything. Even they acknowledge that a lot of crazy stuff is happening. It feels like the world is just off, right? So I think that's an example of the spirit of the age that, something is happening and we should be aware of it and paying attention. But I don't think we should jump around and point fingers and pick a random day on the calendar that we think the days this is when Jesus is going to return. I don't think that's helpful. And, I'm sure it'll happen again, right? It happened like a year or so ago. I think people were saying this is when the rapture is going to happen. They pointed to all these different, obscure details and stuff. And I'm sure that, maybe in another year, people will do the same thing. But I do think it's indicative that everyone kind of has this feeling that something's going to happen soon. And, maybe that's the case, maybe not. But I don't think we should jump to conclusions. Ultimately, do I think the end times will be soon? Maybe, right? I think, again, a lot of things are certainly there. An example of such would be um, Babylon, for example, right? In the Tower of Babel, the two big problems that God placed on humanity would be distance and communication. And so he separated, he dispersed everyone, and then he confused the languages. And in the end times, the one world religion is called Babylon. Right? And so those two problems have to be solved, right? To get a one world religion, you have to have communication to where you're all being able to communicate. Can't do that if you all have different languages. And the other problem would be you have to have kind of some community aspect. You have to be able to talk to people, interact with people, and not have great distances. And so we've seen in recent years that those two problems are kind of getting solved. Right? We can have a conversation with someone via Google AI and Google Translate and stuff who neither of you speak the same language, and that would be an example of that. And same with distance, right? You can talk to someone across the other side of the world via Zoom or FaceTime or something, or you can just get a plane ticket and fly to them. Right. So those would be examples of things that would kind of mark we're getting near the end times. But in terms of the exact date, I don't think it's helpful to point to anything And I think we should be careful with that. And, a final point on the end times and the return of Jesus. Um, Obviously, it will be a good event, right? For Christians, it'll be spectacular, right? It'll be awesome. We'll get the world will be restored. But there is something that has to be acknowledged, and that is there will be a bit of bitterness with it, right? In Revelation, John, he eats this scroll and he talks about how it's very sweet, and then he comments on how bitter it is. And that's kind of how we should view the end times and the return of Jesus is, yes, it'll be a good thing, but there is a level of bitterness that comes with it, right? Because all the people that, Jesus is coming back as a judge this time, and all the people he's going to judge, we oftentimes want to view it as, the people we dislike, right? The political party we dislike or the world leaders we dislike, but it'll be people we do like, right? It'll be the people who, maybe the person who bags our groceries or our family friend, or maybe even our siblings, our parents, our children, whomever. It will be people we have a connection with. It will be people who we like. And that should be bitter, right? That should be a cause for concern for all of us. And that should motivate us. Right? So I believe the end times and Jesus' return won't come until every person who can be saved gets saved. But I think it motivates me, right? It motivates me when I say, okay, you know, I don't want the people I know to be, the the casualties, so to speak, at the end times, right? I don't want them to be the enemies of the Lord in those days, right? And so I think it motivates me to do everything I can to evangelize and to preach the gospel to people. And I think that's the takeaway, right? I think we should live as if every day could be the last, right? I think we should live as if tomorrow is going to be the rapture and the day following and the day following. But I do think we should pray that, it's not, right? I think we should hope that God gives us more time to save as many souls as possible. And, one day it will be true. It will be, the rapture will come, and, hopefully we are ready and the people we know are ready, and, as many people as possible can give their life to Christ. And I think that's the important part of all of this. So when it comes to talking about the rapture, the return of Christ, we don't know when it's going to happen, but I think we should live as if every day is the last, and that, we want to get as many people to come to Christ as possible. And I think that's what's important. So don't buy into the the sensationalism. Don't buy into all the different conspiracies and theories. Just stick with the Bible, and that's all that matters. So stay to the Bible, stick to the Bible, trust